So your first time on NHL ice was?
Was against the Anaheim Ducks. Would have been 3-4 years, so 2010.
2010. I just got pulling it up right now. So October 11th, 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy, you're on NHL ice.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
Nervous, very nervous. They had a heavyweight in their lineup, Peros, very well known around the league.
Yeah.
And I get out very first shift, and sure enough, he comes right after me. He's like, "Hey, kid, you want one?" I was like, "Let me get one shift under my belt." And I had that one shift.
You actually said that to him.
Yeah, like I just wanted to play a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, let me skate around a little bit. And so I had that shift, and then I didn't play a whole lot the first period, and then I came out the second period, and I think I got a hit, and one of the other guys came after me, and it was a guy I actually had a little history with from juniors, Kyle Chipchera. I used to be all over this guy, and I've laid him out a couple times in the juniors, so he came after me, and I think the adrenaline of everything, I forgot to tie my tie down on. And so when you don't have your tie down on and you get into a fight and your jersey comes off, automatically kicked out of the game. So I finished the game with 2.5 minutes of ice time, 4 hits, and 15 minutes of penalties, and I was gone. And that was my NHL debut.
This is No Excuses with John Taffer.
Well, you know, this is a great thing to do, these podcast interviews. And, you know, one of the greatest parts of it is the people that I meet. And Ryan, buddy, you and I met a few weeks ago at a charity event.
Yeah.
But there are a few things in my life the past few years that have touched me more than hockey, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, a goal that you scored, Ryan, a couple years ago that got us, I think, in
Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg, that's right. It was the goal that got us in.
Yeah, against my hometown too.
Yep.
Yeah, they hate me.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's really a pleasure for me to have Ryan Reaves, or Reavo as he's well known. And Ryan is a winger with the Golden Knights. And honestly, buddy, when it comes to heart, you are one of my favorite hockey players that's playing in the game today.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And you know, a lot of people dream about being athletes, you know, and think that things are easy and or change direction in life. And you knew you wanted to be an athlete when you were even just the youngest.
Young. Oh, yeah, young.
And your dad.
Yeah, football player, CFL, a little bit in the NFL. But, yeah, just an athletic family. You know, me and my brother played every sport possible. And the good thing about my dad and my mom was they never pushed me to any sport. It was just whatever you enjoy doing, you enjoy doing. Well, me and my brother kind of dominated every sport when we were younger, so we enjoyed doing it all. And we were really good at football. My brother was really good at basketball. I was good at hockey. And, I just progressed from there.
So I was an okay athlete when I was a kid. So you were the kid who was good at everything.
Yeah. I was, I was actually a little bit hated. I was just talking to my buddy about this a couple of weeks ago in gym class. So I feel like I developed a little quicker than everybody else. I towered over everybody when I was, grade 3, 4, 5, 6. And so when, at recess, we'd play football. So at first I wasn't allowed to play with them. I had to go do something else. And then I was like, all right, Reavo, you can play, but you have to play quarterback and you're not allowed to run. And then it was, okay, you can be the receiver, but when you catch the ball, the play's dead. No more running. And then it was, okay, you can run, but you can only run on one foot. But it was like, well, just let me play. Come on.
Wow. So were you better at that age because of a natural skill, or you think it was desire? And I'll tell you why I ask. When I was young, I played baseball. And there were moments where I chose not to dive for that ball. Mm-hmm. And I knew that there were friends on the team who, in that moment, would have chosen to dive for that ball.
Yeah.
You were the diver, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. It was, gym class was my favorite time of the day. But yeah, I was a tryhard. I was one of those kids that had to be the best at every sport. But I think my dad kind of put that in me. He was, if you watch me on the ice, I'm very physical. Yep. I don't go around people. I don't really have the hands to go around people. Yep. He was the same way. When he played football, he ran through people. And, the one story that always sticks out, kickoff return, I catch the ball, I run down the left side, I dance around one guy, and I run out of bounds because I run out of room. And can we swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay. My dad comes over to me and grabs my face mask. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, what? He's like, you go through him next time. And so next play, or a couple minutes later, exact same thing. Catch the ball and kickoff return. I run left, same kid right there, and I put my head right through his shoulder, broke his collarbone. My dad comes in the field. That's what I'm talking about, baby. But it was those things that made me the player that I am from when I was younger.
So at a young age, you learned that the risk or the pain was worth it because of the reward.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful lesson as a young kid.
Yeah, and I had a lot of those. I remember I got hurt one time, and I laid down on the field, and it was my shoulder. And my dad came up, and he's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, my shoulder." He's like, "Can you walk with your shoulder?" "Yeah." "Well, get the fuck up then."
Yeah, and get
He's
back
like,
in
"Don't
that
you
game.
ever lay on that field unless you can't walk." I was like, "I'll pop back up," walked over there, and never laid down again.
I don't know how you do it after some hits in hockey, buddy. How you just skate right out.
Well, I like
after those.
dishing them out. I don't like taking them.
I know
That's why I
Oh,
dish
yeah.
them. Yeah.
You know, nobody can hit harder than you can. So it's an interesting point, though, when you think about, Reavo as a young kid who is taking risks physically, right, and taking risks emotionally. You play really good in a game. A couple of guys hate you because of it because you're too damn good, but you're okay with that,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
You hurt your shoulder. You're okay with that.
Absolutely.
So at a young age, you became a risk taker. I don't know if you've ever quite looked at it that way.
No, I don't think I did. I think that I just looked at it like I just always wanted to be an athlete, and to be an athlete, you have to work as hard as you can, no matter what people say, no matter if it pisses people off or not. You gotta go out there and do what you gotta do. And
Were you always this disciplined?
no, unfortunately not. I think I had a lot of natural ability when I was younger. And then people started catching up to me when I was in junior and getting around 21.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was a little smaller than everybody else. So then I started really getting in the gym, and my natural ability couldn't carry me any further. Now it was time to put in that work. And when I realized that, then I started excelling.
Wow. So that's fascinating. So natural talent took you to a certain level. Then skill started to take the people around you
Exactly.
to surpass you in
Exactly,
essence.
yeah.
And that was a kick in the ass for you, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, a big wake up call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these guys that I was, that much better at, all these sports are all of a sudden catching up, and now I'm not the best in the league anymore, and I'm not dominating everybody anymore. And, we had one of those days where it was, "What do you want to do when you're older?" I said, "Well, I want to be a hockey or football player." Mm-hmm. And the teacher looked at me as, "Well, no, I need a real job." I was like, no, that's my real job. That's what I want to do. But when I realized people started passing me, then it was, okay, well, if I want to do that, I got to get my shit together here.
Right. So you suddenly pulled it together. And then, I love the story of when you chose to be a fighter.
Yeah.
I love this story. So you were a hockey player.
Yeah.
You were doing okay, but you had a style of hockey that had certain benefits and disadvantages based upon the way you played the game. Tell me this story, because I love it.
So, going back to when I played football, very physical, and I carried that into the hockey ring.
Yep.
Very physical guy. Everybody knew me because of that. When I'm playing junior, my very first year, I was 17 playing against some 20-year-olds, some 16-year-olds, whatever it was, and very early in that first year, I got into a fight with a 20-year-old, and I did okay, and the ref came over to break it up, ended up popping my shoulder out, and ever since then, I wouldn't say I didn't fight anymore, but I was a little more hesitant to. And then I got drafted into by St. Louis. Mm-hmm. I was in the minor leagues for a little bit, and the year I was supposed to be kind of getting a shot to come up, one of the coaches that was in the minors, he knew he was going to be called up to the NHL. And he sat me down and was like, "Listen, if you want to make the NHL, you're going to have to start fighting. You're going to have to start sticking up for yourself and sticking up for teammates, because that's the role you play. That's the type of player you have to be.
You're a physical player.
Right. You're not going to be a skilled player. You don't have the skill for that." And I took that to heart. I went home that summer. That was at the very beginning of the year. And I went home, and I think within a week, I was taking boxing lessons. I was doing it 3 times a week. Came back the next year, and I fought everything that moved. Anything that was possible to fight, I asked to fight, and I got noticed because of it. And then the next year, I started getting little call-ups, and made my way into the NHL and made a name for myself.
And all around that style that you developed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting. Does fear motivate you?
I get that question a lot. I don't find anything really scary in the job. When I think if you ever watched one of my fights, you see those guys, they're like foaming at the mouth, they're bouncing around, They just want to rip your head off. I don't do that. I'm very calm when I fight, because I like to see what's happening. I like to see the fight come to me or take it to them, however I see that situation.
Well, it's non-emotional. Sometimes it's emotional, but most of the time,
I've had a couple ones. I had one against Kane in the playoffs. That was one of the ones where I was foaming at the mouth, and I probably didn't do as good as I should have, because I wanted to tear his fucking head off,
right.
and I got too emotional about it. And if I would have just stayed calm, I probably would have tore his head off.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but I'm talking about fear in a different way. For example, when you were younger and people caught up to you in skill level, there was a little fear, I think, that your dream was going away.
It was the fear of, well, I said I was going to be a football or hockey player my whole life, and now people are catching up. Well, now what am I going to do? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't the best student because I was so focused on sports that I was like, I don't need this stuff.
It was everything.
Right. If sports was everything for me, and I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that for sure. I'm very lucky that it worked out for me.
You. If not, you were screwed.
Screwed. Yep. Oh yeah. I don't know what I would have done. My grade 12, I was sleeping half the class.
So it's fascinating. So that fear or concern, this is getting away from me, my dream might not come true, really changed the way you behaved. You went back and you trained, you worked really hard. Years later, now you're playing in minors, right?
Yeah.
And you told the same thing. If you're going to make it, you need to do this. At that moment, it was sort of taken away from you a little then too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And you stepped up. So it's interesting where going to the cup, of course, inspired the shit out of you, and you played great. But fear of not reaching your objectives has been a powerful motivator for you.
Yeah. It's it's a scary thing to even as this league's progressed. I'm considered one of the last kind of heavyweights in the league. There were guys, even in the last 5 years when I was coming in, that they go out and play 4 minutes a night, and all they did was look for a fight.
Right.
And that's how I was viewed for a long time, because that's kind of what I did. I was playing 4, 5, 6 minutes, and if they had a tough guy, you're probably going to get a fight.
Right.
And I didn't want to become one of those guys that got pushed out of the league because that's all I could do. So, I see those guys leaving, and all of a sudden now I'm not in the gym as much just throwing weights around. Now I'm working on my speed. I'm working on my hands more because the
you want to move the puck.
Yeah, and the game's changing, and I have to change with it. Otherwise, I'm going to be gone. And my dream of playing in the NHL ends before I really get to do what I want to do.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was a big Blackhawks fan.
That's okay.
And I grew up in New York. I was a Rangers fan, but I lived in Chicago for many years and had season tickets to the Hawks. I know it's the
madhouse.
Back in those days, Bobby Probert used to play.
Yeah.
Who was exactly the kind of player that you're talking about. He was a bulldog, but he'd play 3 to 4 minutes, and he'd get in a fight for most of them. But you have a finesse, that when to have that kind of a finesse. And I watch you, and it's almost like bar rescue. People say to me, John, you're so mad. I'm not as mad as people think they are. It's sort of strategic, right? If I scream,
you got to give it away sometimes. Yeah.
But if I scream loud enough, maybe you'll frickin' hear me. Right. It isn't anger; it's a strategy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking when you're on the ice, it's the same thing. I'm going to get in a fight because this serves the game well.
Right.
Not me at the moment, but it serves the. So it's very strategic at times.
Fighting has become even more strategic now because they're putting rules in place to take it out of the game. They have the instigator fight. They have. All these guys have to come in with visors now that didn't have them. So soon you're going to see everybody with visors.
Yeah.
And so, especially with the instigator rule, to go out and start a fight when it's just like you're just starting a fight, not only does it, you have to sit in the box for 2, 5, 10, so it puts your team down for a penalty where you usually wasn't, and it's just not worth it anymore. So you got to be very smart about it.
Especially when it's a 5-minute penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So it's and now you're come up from the minors, and you're in NHL ice for the first time. It's like 2005.
Yeah.
For the Blues.
No, drafted 2005.
Oh, drafted 5.
Yeah.
So your first time on NHL ice was?
Was against the Anaheim Ducks. Would have been 3-4 years. So 2010.
2010. I just got pulling it up right now. So October 11th, 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy, you're on NHL ice.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
Nervous, very nervous. They had a heavyweight in their lineup, Peros, very well known around the league. Yeah. And I get out very first shift, and sure enough, he comes right after me. He's like, "Hey, kid, you want one?" I was like, "Let me get one shift under my belt." And I had that one shift.
You actually said that to him.
Yeah, like I just wanted to play a little bit. You know what I mean? Like let me skate around a little bit. And so I had that shift, and then I didn't play a whole lot the first period, and then I came out the second period, and I think I got a hit, and one of the other guys came after me, and it was a guy I actually had a little history with from juniors, Kyle Chipchera. I used to be all over this guy, and I've laid him out a couple times in the juniors, so he came after me, and I think the adrenaline of everything, I forgot to tie my tie down on, And so when you don't have your tie down on and you get into a fight and your jersey comes off,
Yep.
automatically kicked out of the game. So I finished the game with 2.5 minutes of ice time, 4 hits, and 15 minutes of penalties, and I was gone. And that was my NHL debut. So it was, it was quite the first day.
Wow. So now you're in the NHL for a couple of years. You're doing well, buddy. You know, you're developing a good name for yourself. You go to Pittsburgh, right? And it's a great franchise, right, with a great history plan. And then you get a phone call. You want to come to this organization in Las Vegas in the middle of the freaking desert.
Yeah.
Was that a tough choice?
Well, it wasn't a choice. That was a hey, you're coming to the desert. That was a trade. So
Was it a tough reality? Let me put it that way.
You know, it was the only tough part was I had been in the same organization with St. Louis for 7 years, and then all of a sudden in 6 months I'd been traded twice. So in my
That gets scary.
Yeah, in your head, you know, I got traded to Pittsburgh and they were just the defending Cup champions. So it was like, oh well, shit, these, you know, the best team in the world wants me. And so that was, you know, it was hard to leave St. Louis, but it was really exciting to go to the best team in the league.
And St. Louis is a hell of a hockey town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And congratulations to them for winning whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
And so yeah, and then I get the call from Vegas saying I got traded here, and you know, in the back of my mind is, okay, well they're the best team in the league in the West right now. They really want me, so you know, obviously they want me for a reason. But you know, why are all these teams getting rid of me? And you know, I think I thought, why is everybody getting rid of me first? And then when I got here, it's like, no, you know what? No, I just got traded to the best team in the West. You know, no, let's do this. I'm excited, and I hadn't been playing a lot in Pittsburgh. I don't think the coach there really appreciated my style, let's say, and that's okay. Not all coaches do.
Yep.
But Turk definitely likes my style here.
Do you take stuff personally sometimes?
No, not really.
Because when you think about being traded like that, it's sort of a rejection, right? It's sort of a slap in the face in a way, but yet you seem to get stronger every time by those kinds of things.
Yeah, well, you can take it either way. You can take it as a rejection by the team that traded you, or you can take it as
acceptance by the team that wants you.
Exactly.
Very good point.
I think I took rejection for about 5 minutes, and then you know, knowing that I'm coming to one of the best teams in the West, and also Kelly McCrimmon, who's the GM here.
Yeah.
He was my coach, GM, owner, and junior. So really, and kind of a mentor for me coming up through the ranks.
So that made it great.
Yeah, so I was really excited to play with him again. He's a guy that you know, even on off seasons, you know, he was still in Brandon, and I would call him every year, you know, a couple times a year, and just shoot the shit a little bit. He's kind of a guy that I owe a lot to in my career for sure.
Big part of your life.
Big part, yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I always found it interesting when you know, I'm friends with a few of the players and have a great relationship with the team, and you being one of them, how the newness of the Golden Knights created a team dynamic that's fascinating. And it's almost like a business logic. When you go into an existing team like the Blues or the Penguins, there's little cliques and groups,
Of course, yeah.
right? And some people like it and some people don't. But when you came to the Knights, that stuff didn't exist yet, did it? Because it was new.
Didn't exist yet, still doesn't.
Yeah.
I think the culture that they built from day one, and the fact that everybody was new, there's nobody like, oh, I've been here already.
No big star.
Exactly, no big stars.
Right.
Everybody was brand new, so everybody had to kind of gel right away. And I wasn't here at the beginning, but when I came here, that was just the feeling. It was just like everybody's on the same page, everybody likes everybody, and that's why the team works so well. When you get onto some of these teams where you have a big superstar or a couple big superstars and these cliques, those teams don't always work, no matter how much talent you have, because you want to go to war with your team on and off the ice. And if you don't like each other off the ice, it's harder to go to war on the ice.
Of course. So, you know, isn't business the same now?
Oh, absolutely.
Businesses get these little compartmentalized little cliquey groups and stuff and departments but you know, if there's anything you've learned is when you break that stuff down and turn into a true team without that, then that's when the magic really happens.
Absolutely.
And I really thought the sum of the team was better than the team itself because of the energy that team created.
Yeah, no, it's you know, there's a buzz around this team, and you know, obviously we create some of that buzz, but you know, the city buzzes with us for sure.
You know, I moved here 7 years ago from Florida. You moved here 2 years, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And you moved from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this not one of the greatest cities ever to live in?
You know, I go home every summer to live in Winnipeg, and this is the first year in my career in 10 years that I've stayed in my hockey town. I was here for a month and a half, and I was like, I absolutely love the city. And it was weird because I used to come here every summer at the end of the year with the boys,
Just a party.
hit the strip, party, do whatever.
Yep.
And I would leave here and I was like, I fucking hate this city. You took everything out of my wallet. I feel like
After
shit.
3 days, you had enough.
Oh man,
Right,
3
right.
days, 2 days barely. And I would leave, and I would just be like, I hate Vegas. I always used to we would draw out a hat, and I always used to put in Miami. And I came here for a month and a half, and I was like, I want to live here. Like this, if you get off and I love the Strip. Don't get me wrong, because you can do anything in the world. You got shows, restaurants, whatever it is,
all night.
And that's that's one thing I love about the city, but. Outside of Vegas is just so beautiful, and you just don't expect that because nobody comes in here to see that. They just come here to see the Strip, and Summerlin, I absolutely love.
That's where I live too.
Yeah,
I mean, the sense of community,
absolutely.
the schools, the cleanliness of the streets,
Yeah.
just everything about it. It's an amazing place to live, and it's interesting. If we can be advertisers for Vegas for a minute,
Oh yeah,
people picture the city as blinking lights on a strip.
yeah,
It's a great place to raise a family.
Great
and a
place.
great place to live. And we've also proven Vegas is a hell of a sports town now, isn't it?
Oh, the best in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you started, it was rough. You had a couple of tough games.
Yeah.
So how does that feel when you're in a new city? And, obviously you feel the vibe,
Yeah.
right? You skate out on the ice. They're not exactly happy. How does that feel? And how did you take that personally?
No, you know what? It was, like you said, I made a few mistakes in those first couple games that, maybe cost us one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say two. Okay. But it was the first time that this team had lost, I think, 3 in a row, or the second time all season. And so, you get traded here, but it was like, it's not like I came here to try and ruin your team. You guys asked for me, and I'm going to bring what I bring to the table, and I'm going to make mistakes just like anybody makes mistakes. But I couldn't take that personally because I knew, my style would eventually, I'd try and win the city over,
And you'd fit into the team.
yeah, and
You did.
eventually it
Didn't
happened.
take that long.
No, it took about a couple weeks. Yeah.
What was it? Maybe 3, 4, 5 games, and you were there.
Yeah. We went on a little road trip. I think when we came back, it was we were good.
And now we love you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, big time. So you love beer.
Love beer. Big beer guy.
So you're a huge beer guy, and I have a piece of a distillery.
Yeah.
And I love, taking things that I love and bringing it to people, and you've done that. And it was really cool because today, literally minutes before you came in, I got a copy of this article. You probably haven't seen it yourself.
I just saw a quick tweet of it.
Yeah, so it literally just came out now, and the headline of the article is Golden Knights' Ryan Reaves gets brewery approved in Las Vegas. All right, buddy, tell us about 75.
75 Brewing is so we actually don't have a brewery. We brew out of Abel Baker right now, who helped us launch this brand.
So you had a passion.
Yeah.
You wanted to introduce a beer brand.
So
tell me the story. So
Yeah,
did you
I'll
go
bring
out
you
and
back.
test a bunch, and how did you give us a story?
So let me bring you back a little bit. So
Okay.
my last year in St. Louis during the summer, right before I got traded, I had linked up with a guy who was was opening a brewery down there, and I asked him, I want to brew some in my basement, just try it
For
out.
fun.
And so I got hooked up with him, and I asked him, can you show me some equipment, some ingredients? Where do I get all this stuff? And he looked at me and said, do you know how to brew? And I said, well, I was going to YouTube it. And he just laughed at me. He's like, listen, we'll go into my basement. I have a home brew kit. We'll just brew up a quick batch. So we brewed up a red IPA. He bottled it. It sat in his basement for a while. I went back to Winnipeg, ended up getting traded. He called me. He said, hey, I know you got traded, but this beer is really good. Can I sell it at my brewery? Yeah, no problem. He started selling it. It ended up being...
So this beer was just you guys screwing around that night in his house.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it turned into his number 2 selling beer for a little bit. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
he still sells it. But then I got traded to Pittsburgh, and that was that. I'm in a new city, so I'm not really trying to do anything new. I'm trying to just kind of get acquainted with the city and comfortable. But then right away I get traded to Vegas, and now I'm in the craft scene. Now, everywhere I go, I want to try a new beer. I want to try the local stuff.
You're also in a big beverage town.
Yeah, of course, of course.
We give away more in this city than most cities sell.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. This is the comp city. But at the same time, if you look at the craft scene in Vegas, we're about 10 years behind a lot of these cities.
We are.
You look at Portland, Denver; those places have 20 breweries in an area.
I think there's 50 in Oregon now or something.
Oh, there's at least, there's
Yep.
got to be something like that. But there's something like 22 in all of Nevada, or something like that. So, not only do I have this passion for craft beer, but I see a little bit of a business opportunity as well. And I called my buddy who used to work for Labatt up in Canada for 8 years. And his name's Adam Coates. He keeps telling me I don't ever say his name. Adam Coates. There you go.
Okay. There you go, Adam.
Yeah. And so he flew down. I said, hey, help me run a couple of these meetings. I know he's starting up a business up in Canada, a cannabis company. So he couldn't do anything with it. He comes for these meetings. He flies back to Calgary, and he calls me. He's like, hey, I know I'm starting this company, but I want to jump on board. I think you have something here. We hustled, and we got our first beer out in December. And we got like about 120 taps around the city and about 100 bars. We're in retail right now, and we're looking to launch 4 more beers in the next couple months here.
Wow. And I must tell you, and I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, it's a great beer.
Thank you.
And I had one with you together, and we were together a few weeks
We had
ago.
a couple, yeah.
I think I posted a picture online. If not, Corey, let's repost that picture of Ryan and I with the product. It's a good freaking beer.
Thank you.
You know what I love about it? Is you didn't start with a brand and a gimmick. You started with a great beer.
Well, yeah. You know what? In my head, you can't. I didn't want this to be like a celebrity endorsement. I'm going to throw my face on it and, and just say, hey, it's my beer, so go drink it. The product had to be good, and I had to stand behind it. So that's part of the reason why I stayed in Vegas. I've been going door to door, hustling, trying to get these people to buy it, and it's been a blast. I don't consider myself a businessman, but I'm learning definitely, and I'm having so much fun doing it.
Yeah. Well, the fact is, it started with a great product. You have a great passion for it. You know how to manage risk, and your whole life you've managed risk by compensating it with experience and hard work.
Yep. Absolutely.
You've done that in your sports career. You've done that in your personal life. So this makes such perfect sense.
Yeah.
So you got a great product. You're leveraging it. You're getting it all around town, and you're going to break it out nationally.
Yeah, we're trying to. We want to become the biggest in Vegas, and then people keep telling me the story that Reno and the North and Vegas don't like each other.
They don't actually.
Yeah, but I think there's a little common ground in that they like the nights up there, and so I want to wiggle my way up there first. And
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The nights are the one common thing that we all love.
Exactly.
Because there is an animosity between the two.
Right. And so if I can find, wiggle my way up with that common ground, now I can become the biggest in Nevada, and then definitely I want to branch out and make this a national brand.
Yeah. When Dan Aykroyd launched Crystal Head Vodka, he went around to Walmarts and Walgreens all over the country signing liquor bottles.
Oh yeah.
And he built a brand that way.
Yeah.
And
we actually did that at Lee's Liquor. We signed just some random ones, and people tweeted me. It's like, is this actually your signature? It's like, can't confirm or deny, but it looks like it.
But it's fun if you do some promotions. Say, I'll be at this liquor store at this time on this day.
Right.
Come get some 7.5. But so now you go to the city, and this is getting real now because now you're building a brewery. So you're taking this to the next level.
Well, we're not building a brewery yet. I think that headline's wrong. I got approved for our license to be a manufacturing license. So basically what that means is we are now our own entity. Before we were a 50-50 partner with Able Baker.
Gotcha.
And so now we're our own entity. We own all the rights to the beer. We'll just be paying Able Baker to brew it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll bring it and start brewing it in town?
Yeah, it's definitely been in discussion. I think we grew quicker than I was expecting, thankfully, and with that, we're going to need more volume. So it's definitely been in the discussions for sure.
Yeah, pretty exciting, buddy. I'm really proud of you. I think it's
you.
a great product. I think the packaging is really good. When we first met, I was really impressed with it.
Thank you.
And when you think about the fact that Vegas loves the Knights, Vegas loves you, but you have a great brand. And your brand means something. When I look at you and I think about your brand says to me discipline, quality, pride, right? I never see you not looking good, buddy. No, there's a pride to you in the way you present yourself. So, the kind of brand equity that you have lends itself to consumer products like this. So, I love the beer, buddy. So I'm all over it. I'm going to get a bunch here in the office so I can give it to people when they come here as well.
Thank you. And let's not forget your mixers that you just launched at Walmart, right?
Yeah, and I'm giving you a case on the way out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, but I got to give your little shout out too.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. So what do you think of this season? You got a bunch of new players. Let's just talk hockey for a minute.
Yeah.
You excited? It's a very different team now.
Yeah, but that I've learned that you can't keep a full team. It doesn't happen. And, we have so much talent up front and on the back end, and obviously in net that the team's going to turn over. But we got a lot of talent on this team, and I think we have 2 chips on our shoulder now. You know, we lost in the finals, and we lost out in a way that probably shouldn't have happened last year. So I think, you know, this is going to be a very, very hungry team, and I'm really excited. Like I've been ready to start up the season for about 2 months now.
I bet, especially because of the way last season ended.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
It's almost like you're in the middle of your dinner and they pull the plate away.
Yeah,
you don't get to eat the second half of your steak.
Yeah, and you know what? I usually have a hard time watching the playoffs when we lose. It was impossible this year. I
couldn't watch.
No, I think I watched the last 10 minutes of the final just because it was St. Louis and I used to play. I wanted to just, see a couple of my boys lift the cup, but it was impossible for me to watch. Yeah.
Do you think the NHL, and I don't want to put us in any political situation, but I think it's a fair question. Do you think the NHL is taking the right steps to get the officiating a little more succinct rather than so abstract? Or does that worry you still?
I think they're taking steps to improve the rules. I'm not sure if they've changed them quite yet, but I know they're looking at, for any hit to the head that's a major, that it can be reviewed.
Yep. So they're going to send that stuff to Toronto now.
Right. And I know there's going to be some rule changes. There always are. And hopefully we can get rid of some of these. There was a couple tough calls in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
One in our series, one in the St. Louis and San Jose series. There's always room for improvement in any league, and you see that every league. Every league changes their rules and changes their policies every couple of years.
I think when it gets to the playoffs, I think doing those playbacks makes sense.
Yeah,
because I think the games are too damn important.
Well, there's just too much on the line.
Absolutely,
yeah.
I agree, and I say this. I believe we would have made it to the cup.
Oh, absolutely.
Had it not been for that play. I don't know if we would have taken the cup home, but we would have made it 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
and it would have been quite historic when we did that.
Yeah,
but this year.
This year, buddy.
Yeah. Ryan, it's been a blast, bud.
Hey, anytime. I appreciate having me on.
So when people want to find you, where can they go?
75brewing.com. You can find out. You type in your zip code, and you find out everywhere we sell, retail, on tap, whatever you want to find, it's on there.
Great, and that's 75. The numbers,
the number
not the
7.
words.
Yeah, the number 7, and then FIVEbrewing.com.
7 FIVEbrewing.com.
That's the one.
Awesome, buddy. It's a great beer. I hope everybody really goes and tries it.
Thank you. Yeah, please do.
And good luck on another great season coming up.
Thank you.
Should I let everybody in on our little secret about what's going on in a
couple
weeks?
Might as well.
Okay. So Ryan and I became friends a few weeks ago. We went to an event together, and Nate Schmidt was also there.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out together doing a charity event, and we were talking about bar rescue, and I twisted Ryan's head. It didn't take much of a fight.
It was, I think it was one sip, and then we were ready to go.
We were there. Yeah. So I've got Ryan and Nate coming on a bar rescue episode in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about this, buddy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome.
Out in Salt Lake City, right?
Out in Salt Lake City.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we'll see you there.
Yeah.
And thanks.
Anytime.
If you love my No Excuses podcast, hit subscribe at Apple Podcasts, go to podcastone.com or the Podcast One app, and you'll get your new episodes every Tuesday morning.